Testing, testing, testing. Hello, it's that time again. I'm actually going to be doing a dye job on my roots like I normally do, but I'll also be doing some touch-ups to some areas of my hair that I'll point out within this video. So I'm excited to be back with you all and sharing how I'm just gonna do a touch-up on my hair. I actually have a photo shoot next weekend. No, this upcoming weekend, so in like 7 days. So my goal is to get my color back to the way it was and to also get my hair retightened. My loctician will be doing that the day before my actual photo shoot. Just as an update, if you've been following along on my lock journey, I am 4 years and 2 months locked, almost 2 months. I started with around 10 to 11 inches of hair. I would say that my locks are maturing nicely. Now, I am overdue for a dye job, for a root touch-up, because that's normally all I dye on my hair. I generally was doing it every 3 to 4 months, but I did get behind and I didn't really mind it. It's not a big deal for me. So my roots are more grown out than normal. So it may take me a little bit longer. I'm hoping it doesn't take me a lot more dye. For right now, I'll be using the same dye that I always use, Dark and Lovely in Sun-Kissed Brown. And I'm only going to be using these 2 boxes, what comes in the box. And outside of that, I also have a towel, an old t-shirt, just to make sure that I keep things, you know, neat and I don't get them everywhere and stained all over everything. Luckily, this one doesn't really drip that much, so it should be fine. An update from my last video that I filmed doing my root touch-up is that I won't be putting a cap on. I'll probably just be pulling it back into a ponytail because it doesn't need to have a cap. It's not included in here. It's not in the directions. You don't have to cover your hair. My main goals for today are going to be making sure that it's even and that my hair is fully saturated. One other update that you might see me doing is that I'm considering, I went to New York last month or a couple months ago, and I ended up having to buy some clothing items while I was there that were kind of, they made my locks pick up fuzz. Yeah, so basically they caused fuzz in my locks. Let's see if I can find some pieces. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but essentially I have some areas where I'm not willing to pick out the fuzz because it can weaken your locks in certain areas because you end up picking out some of those hairs that hold the strand together. Do I have any? I don't know if y'all can see that. But I don't like the look of it when my hair is up. You might think it doesn't matter right now, but I do wear my hair in a ponytail and it will be summer soon. I don't know if you could see that. I will do that at the end. I will just lightly go over some of these back strands that I have. And if it covers it, it covers it. If not, that's fine. I just don't want it as bright as it is now. I'm living with the lint, okay? I'm not trying to pull it out of my hair. At this point, it isn't part of my lock. I was able to, within the first few days of noticing it in New York, like pull out pieces that were just hanging on. But as time went on, after New York, we went to the beach and that was a wrap. The lint was with me at that point. So we're living with lint. I finally hit that stage where lint is just attracted to my locks and there's really nothing I can do about it other than not wear things that cause lint. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this party started. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section below. I'm always happy to answer as much as I can. With my experience, I've been dyeing my own hair since before my lock journey. So I'm very comfortable with doing my hair. So this is my experience. This is how I have maintained things and it's worked for me. So first we'll give you a little look. This is what we're starting with. And please ignore any dandruff. I have had a flare up of my scalp just being very dry, but we're working on it. And I actually know some people that really like this look of the dark roots. It's not that I mind it, but over time, like, I do miss just having my whole head colored. So that's why I'm okay with it growing out. But it's time. It is time. And maybe I won't dye it again until like the end of this year, you know? That's the best part about having a color that grows out and looks fine. Like, you don't have to dye it. All right, let's get started. So at this point, I am removing everything that comes within the box of color from Dark and Lovely, which is the conditioner, the dye, and the developer, and also the instructions. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say this, but I don't use anything outside of the box. No bleach, no pre-method or anything, I promise. So the instructions, cool thing is that they do come with gloves attached to them. If you open them up, they're stuck on there, you can just peel them off. First thing we're gonna do is mix the color with the developer. Just gonna pour all of that in there, screw the top on. Now I've take the tip off and put your finger over it when you shake it. That's how you do it. If you keep the top on and you try to remove it afterwards, it could have like pressure built up and kind of shoot out color, so you don't want to do that. Next, I'm going to divide my hair into 4 sections to make it easier to manage and make it where I can move a little bit faster and not have hair getting in my way. This is also in the instructions if you do want to kind of look this up. They recommend doing this. For me, I'm gonna start at the front of my head because that's the easiest for me to see and get out of the way before I go to the back. So I start at the very top, and also at the front of my head, I don't mind if that's the brightest. I'm okay with my hair going from lighter to darker, getting more depth in color as it gets to the back, so there's a method to my madness. But I just start at the root and I kind of smooth it out with my fingers. This is the easiest method for me, it's the fastest. With the glove on, I mean, some people could use brushes and things of that sort. I don't find it necessary with Locs, and it just adds on time for me having to pick up an extra item when I can just use my gloves. Now you'll see that I am just focusing on the direct root. The reason is as I go on, I'm gonna spread the color up and go back through these sections. And also, what you may not really be able to tell from this video is I'm looking in a mirror off to the side, of course, but it is kind of hard to see where the color begins and ends because I can only see the front of my head, honestly, unless I tilt my head down like I'm doing right here. So a lot of this I am going off a feel, and right there what I'm doing is I'm pressing to make sure that it's saturated all the way through. This is a big deal for me because what I found is if I don't fully saturate my lock all the way through, sometimes just the top of the lock or the outer layer gets colored and it doesn't pull the color all the way through, if that makes sense. So it's really, really important for more of an even color job to make sure that the hair is fully saturated if you want it to match the rest of the hair that you've already dyed, if you're doing it like me. And this is a root touch-up. Now as you can see, I started at the root, I smoothed it down, I'm going back in and checking, and now I'm gonna add a second line of dye a little bit further down my locks, just so I can get to that line of demarcation where you can see my natural color ending and the last dye job beginning. I just try to go right up to that line. I personally don't try to go over it. I don't try to re-dye hair that's already previously been dyed. As you can see, I'm just smoothing that in, making sure that we're super, super saturated. And from there, I'm just gonna repeat the same steps all the way down in this section and move on section by section. Another thing that I want to quickly point out is that it is important to, once you divide the hair, and of course you see me putting the color on one side and flipping it over, you want to make sure that you kind of reapply the color on the underside, because sometimes the color doesn't get to the other side, especially if you have thicker hair or strands, if that makes sense. So I'm just making sure that every time I flip a section of hair that I'm going back on the opposite side of it and either adding in more color or smoothing out the color. This is just another way to kind of avoid that blotchiness. So it's just the extra added step that you want to kind of make sure you do for your due diligence if you don't want to end up with blotchy or hair that's kind of different variations in different sections. Now right here, what I'm doing is I am actually trying to make sure that I get all of those little baby hairs. It may not look like I have hair all the way down there, but I do. It almost wraps around my ear, if we're being honest, because it goes from the back of my neck to those long sideburns. I've never felt the need to cut them off or be shaved. They don't bother me whatsoever. It's just, that's how I'm made. So I just make sure to get all of that hair in there. Now this is where you can see me pressing the hair to see the color on it. That's how I know that it has been fully saturated, and I'll show you in a clip later, but you can hear the color like being pressed out of it. Now I'm gonna move on to the second section and do the same thing. Just wiping off my ears there, the extra color. Luckily, if this color gets on my skin, it doesn't really show up because it's almost the color of my skin, especially after I wash it off and everything. Now this back part that I'm doing, I'm gonna try my best to explain this. I've gotten really comfortable with doing my hair, as you can tell, because I don't even have a mirror behind me, but I am gonna turn around and show you. I do check it, but I mostly do it from feel. I just kind of split, and sometimes I will put the dye right above my glove in a straight line, and I can also do it like this. If I do put the mirror behind me where I can see, I'm able to put it in an almost straight line, straight enough. Since I am going to be spreading it, it doesn't have to be perfect. And there I am catching those baby hairs on my neck. But I am repeating essentially the same process that you saw me do in the front. I'm adding a layer and then I'm smoothing it into my hair. This is supposed to be like a non-drip formula, which basically means that if you do kind of spill it somewhere and it's not a lot, it's not just going to run away from you, but it does drip a little bit. So that's why it's not a big deal if it gets on my neck, because I have hairs there and I just smooth it up into my hairline. Now I'm doing the second back inside, and this is me doing it with a mirror in front of me, mirror behind me. Now if you want to plan more and you have one of those cool mirrors that kind of sit up for you and have like a threefold, y'all know what I'm talking about, that will probably be a lot better for you. I don't have one of those and I haven't needed one so far, so this is just what works for me. And there you have it. Okay, I have finished the last section, and I don't know if I'm getting more efficient or what, but I felt like I didn't use as much as I thought I would. I thought with my hair being a little bit more grown out, I would definitely need more than one bottle, even though it's just the roots. So I wish that I hadn't went ahead and mixed this, because now I can't use it. There's no way to save it. So that is, I'll have to take this L. So don't be like me if you're not sure and you're retouching your roots. If I was doing my whole head, then I for sure would need this second and potentially a third bottle. But for just these few inches, making sure that they're completely soaked, I still have some left. So I am gonna go ahead and use this up, which will consist of me just kind of like touching my hair, going around the edges where it's kind of drying up, because I want it to be very saturated and make sure that it catches all of my hair in there. As you noticed from some of the clips before, my baby hairs come really far down on my neck. So sometimes I forget to get those, and it looks like I might just be going on skin like right here. But no, I actually have black baby hairs that are there. And we want to blend those in. All right, and the other thing that I'll be using this on is some of those strands in the back that I talked about. So there we go. I was thinking about just doing spots, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go down the entire strand, and my theory is that it's just gonna look like a highlight in the back of my head when I put my hair up. So luckily I don't have a lot of locks like that, but I am gonna go ahead and do that. So let's do it. I'm also gonna check some of these sections to see how the color is developing in the front. This was the first section that I did. Okay, it's getting there definitely on top. I need some more. I feel like it's not fully saturated in some areas. Like right around here maybe. We're just gonna go back in, get these edges up one more time because that's at the front of my head. That's what everybody sees first. Heart and apply product. Heart. Oh, there's a lot of products here. I can hear it. Which I like doing that when I'm doing my roots because I can make sure that it's gotten all the way into my lock rather than just sitting on the top, which can make it look, you know, blotchy. It's already hard to color your hair on your own. Not to say that I don't have any blotches, but you know, we try to minimize it. So you guys can see the color happening. The back one more time because I just have a smidgen left. That was probably dramatic, but that is how I get my hair out of my face. Okay, so I am going to let this sit for probably another 15 minutes. The directions, if you're doing it the way that I'm doing it, splitting it into 4 and starting at the roots and everything, say to leave it on relaxed hair for 20 minutes and natural hair for 30 minutes. So it's probably taken me about 20 minutes to get this on my head. Really, I'm just trying to give it another 15 minutes, so I think it's like 5 minutes extra to make sure that the hair in the back has time, ooh, I got something in my eye, has time to lift. And I might check back like every 5 minutes to kind of look at it. What I'm trying to do, my main goal is to match my roots to the hair that has already been previously colored. So sometimes I'll just do this to check it out. Once it gets to that color, then that's how I know like it's time for me to wash it out. I feel like when it's hotter, this could just be me. It processes a little bit faster. And also when I correctly apply the right amount of dye, like I make sure that it's saturated, it processes faster rather than drying out. Don't leave it on there forever, y'all. Like I would advise you to follow the directions and see how it goes the first time. But for me, like I'm not time checking at this point. I feel very comfortable with doing it this way, but I'm not telling you to do it that way. So yeah, I'll be back in 15 minutes. I wanted to point out one more thing before I left. So I am matching the hair to previously colored hair, but I do recognize that like I have some pieces in the front here which appear to be almost blonde, like a honey blonde. You can see like they're much lighter. They're mostly at the front of my head and it's like most of the strand from where my hair has grown out. This was mostly from sun bleaching. It's not from anything different that I put on my hair. So I will not be matching my roots to try to get this blonde because that's not what this hair color does. But I will be matching it to the darker bits that you see here. And as you can tell, it's already starting to get close to that color in some areas, but I'm not going to be matching it to this. Just wanted to point that out for anyone who maybe wasn't aware. My hair, these streaks in the front have not been colored a different color. They are just literally from being out in the sun way too much and having my hair pulled back, and they eventually getting lighter. So yeah. Okay, so I went 7 minutes over because I was starving and I made myself some lunch, but I'm back and we're gonna just quickly look through my hair and I'm gonna rinse this out. I'm actually okay with it being this time a little bit darker than rather than being super bright, because there was a time a couple of colors ago where I think I left it on a little too long and it turned out brighter than the rest of my hair. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this out. Yeah, I feel comfortable with it being a little bit darker. If that's what happens, that's what happens. I'm okay with that. I like this color. So I'll be back. I'm gonna go rinse this out and do a light blow dry on it. It's not chilly, but I just don't have faith in my hair completely drying if I were to only towel dry it and walk out the door. So I will be blow drying it on medium to low for like maybe about 15 minutes, but at least where it's not really, really damp. So, all right, here we are back with semi-damp hair. And this is the final color. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm gonna give you an up close view and my thoughts. My final thoughts on it for this round of a root touch-up are that it definitely is darker at the roots than I think last time. I'm not exactly sure how much darker because as my hair fully dries, it'll actually look a little bit lighter. Like with it being damp, everything's appearing slightly darker than it actually will be in real color. I can tell definitely where I saturated some areas more than others. One telltale sign, which is not a huge deal, like this is something that I understand is a sacrifice, I guess, with doing your hair, dyeing your hair yourself versus going to a professional. For me, it saves money, and I am very picky about who touches my hair, specifically when it does come to hair color. I've had some experiences where I've asked for one color and got another color, so at least if it doesn't turn out the color that I want it to, it's from my hands and no one else. And also, like, with me wanting to maintain the same color, it saves me a ton of money. Instead of spending a couple $100s every single time it's time for a touch-up, I spend 10, 15 bucks and I'm pretty much good to go, and I know it's going to be the exact same color without having to use a bleaching agent on top of the color. I can just use everything that comes in the box. There is no two-step process for me to get this color. But this side definitely wasn't as saturated as the other side. I'll show you right here. I can indicate it versus right here. Y'all let me know if you're able to tell. I can tell just slightly, but for the most part, no one's really going to be noticing. And if someone doesn't like my hair like this, then so what? I am considering, like, down the road, maybe not this year at all or even next year, but what is my next color gonna be? So if you guys have any suggestions or recommendations, I would really love to know. I think most likely it would be something darker. It doesn't have to be black. My natural hair color is black, but it doesn't have to be. I think I'm just maybe getting to the point of wanting something a little bit new. But I'm not sure, because this color I feel like makes me look a little bit glowier. I like the way that it kind of gives like summer vibes. Like, I like the way my skin looks with this color. So that's gonna be the hard part. I also don't want anything that's super bright that or looks bad when it grows out. That's gonna be a hard one, but I'm willing and open to listen to any ideas that you guys have after watching this video or some of my past videos. You've probably only seen me with this color, so I'm definitely ready for potentially thinking about something new. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Locs in the City. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It all helps. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. Bye.